Asset in deep tech era. And I would like to now welcome the dignitaries on the dais. Mr. Munish Sudan. Apologies. Sorry, this is the next session that is Reimagining Industry Academia Collaboration for a Global R&D and IP Economy. And I would like to call the dignitaries on dais, Dr. Anuradha Ganesh, Director, R&D Consulting Services Private Limited, Mr. Tito Kishan, Founder, Proin, Mr. M. Faisal, General Manager and Global Head IPR Tata Motors Limited, Ms. Archana Surana, Founder and Director, Arch College of Design and Business, Professor Akshay Dwivedi, Professor of Mechanical and Industrial Engineering, IIT Roorkee. May I have your request to be on the dais? With this, I would now like to request Dr. Anuradha Ganesh to kindly take over the session, please. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for joining back after lunch. This is the toughest session as always, and I can see, you know what, it'll be good if you all settle down. It's sort of less disturbing then, I'll put it that way. You know, it's a very interesting session on reimagining. There are a few words which caught my attention. The title is Reimagining Industry Academia Collaboration for a Global R&D and IP Economy. In last 2 years, we have grown. We have grown from saying, okay, we are saying, let's have a relook at it, reimagine, look at it differently. And the second word, excuse me, thank you. You know, once a professor, always a professor, and that's the way we manage. Yeah. Thank you for settling down. I'll give you a minute more, maybe not minute, 10 seconds. All right, thank you. And the second very interesting word is imagining industry academia collaboration for global R&D. Right? They were, excuse me, someone to the right of me, someone is really very loudly talking. You're most welcome to go out of the hall and talk. There's a very good place to sit there. Global R&D means a lot. Okay, till now we were talking about AtmaNirbhar. We want to do R&D so that it is indigenous technology and we believe in ourselves. Today, we are moving a step ahead and saying global R&D because we are bringing in exporting our technologies also. That's a great thought. And I think this is the right time to reimagine because we are sure that whatever we had imagined, visualized, we had tried, it's not worked. So it's time that we relook at it. In fact, in the Ishavasya Upanishad, there is a very profound insight. It says, Tena tyaktena bhunjita. Enjoy through renunciation. You know, and if I put it differently, it means the true progress comes through sharing and not hoarding. And if only the ancient, you know, we use this ancient wisdom, which is so very apt for this session. We have the industry and the academia work together, share the knowledge together. The gains would be many and the divides would be less. With this, distinguished panelists, colleagues, and friends, we are here to, actually the overall theme is from dependence to dominance, so we'll always keep that in mind. And the fundamental question we all have should be, can India transform its vast academic infrastructure and industrial ambition into a globally competitive innovation powerhouse? And I'll tell you why it matters very quickly. India has the world's third largest higher education system with over 1,100 universities, about 45,000 colleges. Yet our industry, academia, R&D collaboration ranks significantly below the global standards. We produce nearly 1.5 million engineering graduates annually, but industry still reports that there are skill gaps and there is a mismatch between academic preparation and market trends. So imagine 45,000 colleges still not producing what the industry says they want. India's gross expenditure on R&D hovers around 0.7%. A lot of discussion. We had one discussion today also. So we have to critically increase the industry share too. And of the patents filed from the Indian academic institutions, commercialization rates remain in single digits, a stark contrast to what we see outside. So all of this really brings us to have this discussion. Now, I have seen people, and I have also discussed panel discussion, oh, one more. No, it is just to bring out our thoughts and see if we can take something away from here. I may not be able to consolidate exact clear points on this is what we should do when we go out, but it's at least will set us thinking. All right, so with that, I take the opportunity to introduce my esteemed panelists. I have to my immediate right, Mr. Vasant Jain. He's from Mylan Foundry. He's the chief engineer at Mylan, bringing deep expertise in the software engineering, advanced mathematics, high-performance computing. He previously served at the GE Global Research Center as a senior software engineer, where he played a pivotal role in establishing the HPC environment for the GE India Technology Center, significantly strengthening design validation and computational engineering capabilities across the organization. Thank you for being here, sir. Mr. Tito Kishan, a good old friend of mine. So nice to have you here. He's the founder of Proin Consultancy. He has been grooming professional innovation. I have learned a lot from him myself. In India, using TRIZ methodology since 2006. With the structured innovation methods of TRIZ and DFP, he enables differentiated solutions and strong patent portfolio development by working with teams responsible. We even had an opportunity to invite him to Cummins, my previous organization. And we really, really enjoyed the sessions and learned a lot. With decades, 2 decades of corporate leadership at GV Aviation, GV Energy, Tata's, he started on his own as a founder. A proprietorship from 2015. In 2020, he formed the consultancy LLP, Proin Consultancy, which is promoted as Proin. Proin partners with corporations to 2 to 3 years time frame and contribute to facilitating huge innovation transformations. Thank you so much for being here. I have Mr. M. Faisal. Okay, you're this side, left side. Mohammed Faisal is working as General Manager and Global IPR Head for Tata Motors. He is registered Indian patent agent, has rich experience in the IP domain across various industries and listed among the top IP professionals of the country, including IM Strategy, the 300 list of global IPR professionals. Before joining Tata Motors, Faisal has worked with leading technology conglomerate L&T and reputed law firms such as Lex Orbis and Singhanias. Faisal possesses more than 2 decades of experience in the innovation lifecycle management, IP procurement, IP management, valuation, enforcement, and technology transfer. Thank you so much for being here. I also have with me Ms. Archana Surana, founder director of ARCH, the College of Design and Business, and a topic which is so very important to us today. Archana is the founder director of Arch College of Design and Business, Jaipur. She has pioneered specialized undergraduate and postgraduate design programs with international and national certifications. She is also the founder and chairperson of Women Mentors Forum, impacting more than 1,500 women entrepreneurs and professionals. And when I spoke to her that I would love you to share something on the women, she said, I am doing much more than this. So she's going to talk to us about all that she is doing very soon. I have, in the end, not the least, Professor Akshay Dwivedi, once again a very good old friend of mine, is a distinguished faculty member and former head of the Mechanical and Industrial Engineering Department, IIT Roorkee, recognized for his leadership in engineering research and education. A few of them had a glimpse of it today in the separate roundtable discussion. He actively drives academic and research initiatives, mentors scholars, and a great promoter of the industry-academia interactions. Through his engagement on professional platforms, he plays a key role in the collaboration fostering, innovation, and knowledge exchange with the engineering committee. With this introduction to the very esteemed panelists who are here with me, before we start the panel discussion, we have Archana who would like to say a few words and share some of her thoughts. Actually, the entire way we were going to do was that each one of us were going to talk for 10 minutes and then the panel. We have reduced it to one person going to talk and all of us going to answer some questions after that. Thank you so much. Over to you. Is that okay?
Thank you, Anuradha ji, and it's a delight to be sitting on this panel, which is going to be really insightful. And while we're going to be talking about reimagining industry-academia collaboration for a global research and development towards creating an intellectual property in an economy which is growing like India at a massive pace, and we call it the creative economy. The UN calls it the orange economy. And yes, while I'm going to touch upon these topics, I'm going to talk about technology, AI, the epistemology, and the work of nation building. As we enter an economy driven by research, intellectual property, and advanced technologies, we must ask ourselves a fundamental question. Are we collaborating to transfer skills or to create knowledge? This is not a rhetorical question, it is an epistemological question one. As India positions itself as a global technology and innovation leader, we must again pause and ask a foundational question. Are we building technology that's fast enough, or are we building knowledge deep enough to sustain a nation? Because technology without epistemic clarity does not build nations. It only accelerates systems. And sometimes even in the wrong direction. Artificial intelligence today is not just a tool of automation. It's a producer of content, patterns, and decisions. This fundamentally alters the nature of knowledge completely. How we define actually epistemology is that it is to validate and trust knowledge that becomes central to AI-led societies. If data is biased, AI scales biases. If assumption is flawed, AI industrializes error. Therefore, the future of AI is not a technical question alone. It is a matter of design, ethics, and education. The doublethink in our AI and innovation discourse is very important today. George Orwell's 1984 was not written as a prediction of technology, but as a warning about power over truth. The novel remains that the most effective form of control is not surveillance alone, but the internationalization of contradiction that Orwell called it doublethink. While doublethink is the ability to know the truth, yet accept the opposite while questioning either. In our time, doublethink allows systems to function without ethical resistance. Here we encounter a model doublethink. We say AI will democratize opportunity, yet centralize power. We say technology enables creativity, yet reward speed over reflection. We claim innovation drives nation building, yet neglect the human and ecological costs embedded in systems. This is a technological doublethink, and it weakens a long-term national resilience. Why this matters for India's nation-building agenda? Globally, over 70% of economic value creation now comes from intangible assets: data, design, software, intellectual property, and research. For India, the digital and AI economy is projected to add $1 trillion to our GDP by 2030, yet less than 20% of the higher education outputs currently translate into scalable IP or deep tech innovation. AI adoption without contextual design risks job displacement without value creation. Nation building in the AI era requires not just adoption, but authorship. From technology consumption to knowledge creation, we are in that era. A strong nation does not merely consume technology, it requires a shift. It creates frameworks of meaning around it, from talent supply chains to knowledge and intellectual property ecosystems. Design education plays a critical role here because design mediates between technology and society. It asks very critical questions. Who does this system serve? What behaviors does it shape? What futures does it normalize? Yes, the NEP and the AI and the design is very imperative now with the upcoming strategies that we have. India's new education policy explicitly calls for research-led education, multidisciplinary and technology integration with ethics, innovation and entrepreneurship as academic outcomes. If this is the position that we are in, the position of design education is a national capability, not a peripheral discipline, not a peripheral discipline. And design becomes the ethical interface of design, the human language of technology, the bridge between policy, industry, and citizens. And I'm proud that I sit on world's largest forum for art, media, design, and architecture from 70 countries with 400 universities as members. And we just drafted this board. I have been elected on the board. It's an 11-country board. And we drafted the Cumulus Design Declaration, which was earlier the Tokyo Design Declaration. This declaration talks about not human-centered design, but planet-centered design. And you should have a look at it over the Google. So I feel proud that somewhere at the international level, India today has a voice, and I represent the Global South and the South Asia countries as well. Thank you. And Arch as a reference model when I look at, because my institution is now 25 years old and it was founded with very humble beginnings, learning from our ecosystem, contributing to our ecosystem, growing with the industry. So I started out my background while it is fashion. I was the first person to start a course in jewelry design, bringing technology into it, starting with interior design. And today we have communication, digital design, strategic design, sustainable design, social design, and service design as programs that we offer for the youth. So when I look at Arch, yes, we integrate technology and AI, not just as tools to replace thinking, but as systems to question, shape, and responsibly be deployed. Reference indicators that I would just put in a few is that we have human judgment that remains central, and our research-led final year projects address real industry and societal challenges. While we keep bringing these projects with the government and the industry, after a second year and a third year, every semester we try and bring projects inside the classroom to ensure that our students get real-world learning. Research, interdisciplinary integration of design, business strategy, sustainability, and technology. As I said, sustainability is not a choice today, it's a necessity. It's not an option, it needs to be a practice. So this is where sustainability has a very, very important role to play. And with a strong emphasis on IP, literacy, authorship, and critical and ethical accountability, it becomes that key that our graduates who work with AI do not, and without surrendering to AI, really are thinkers who can we call them as design thinkers. In an AI economy, algorithms are intellectual property, interfaces are behavioral IP, data-informed systems are national assets. And Arch encourages its students to bring in design outputs as knowledge artifacts, AI systems as design choices and consequences, innovation as a responsibility to society, not just for markets. And this is critical for building a sovereign innovation capacity. A concrete example of our approach is the Arch engagement with the EU Co-Life project on impact-focused entrepreneurship. We have 4 European institutions and 4 Indian institutions. We have management schools, engineering schools, design schools working together on this project. And we have 8 partners. And this is a 3-year-long project. We're working on a master's level program on impact-focused entrepreneurship where I've been engaged case studies of Jaipur Rugs Foundation to Leela Pottery, the Blue Pottery, the Jaipur Blue, which is IP again, and then you have Kalpana Papers, which is again hand paper industry, which comes out from the knitwear waste, and now they are also using the husk of wheat and other things to make paper out of it. And there's a lot of innovation within that industry, right? And as we all know that the Sanganer block print is already a GI indication. So these are the industries we've brought these case studies for the international market to learn from, so that today India is a great research and learning ground for the world. And that's an opportunity I think we all Indians should be proud of. Here, digital tools are used not for speculative growth, but for problem solving aligned with societal needs and the SDGs, and definitely our AtmaNirbhar Bharat and its 5 pillars. The model shows how technology-enabled entrepreneurship can support nation building for a creative economy and not just a startup culture. At Arch, our ecosystem aligns with global and national policies, and the NEP, the global accreditation frameworks, the SDGs, the 4, 9, 11, 7, sustainable communities, partnerships, innovation and infrastructure, quality education, all this is at the core of our essence of teaching and learning. And technology becomes a means for societal progress and not an end to itself. It's the time to resist doublethink in the AI era. If we truly want AI to contribute to nation building, we must prioritize human intelligence alongside artificial intelligence. We must reward long-term research over short-term disruption. We must create students and educators as co-creators of national intellectual property. Industry-academia collaboration must evolve from deployment of tools of co-authorship of the future. India's strength lies in contextual innovation, technology informed by culture, ethics, and lived realities, how ma'am just quoted from our Vedas. Yeah? So by integrating AI with the design wisdom, sustainability, and human values, India can lead not by scale alone, but by meaningful innovation. And our commitment at Arch, we are committed that our designers as our innovators think critically, design responsibly, use AI consciously, and contribute to nation building through knowledge creation and creative entrepreneurship. And let me just conclude that in the age of AI, the real competitive advantage of a nation is clarity of thought. Technology will evolve, tools will change, but nations are built on those who can question, create, and care. This is the future we must all design together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll actually start with where she left on bringing in some clarity on what collaboration really means. And my first question to Mr. Vasant Jain would be, what does the industry-academia collaboration really mean in practice? And in the context of the India's aspirations, should we think of IA as India alliances or India alone?
Thank you. So in my context, the way I look at things is that there are problems at 2 ends of the spectrum. One is about having the right mass of candidates available from engineering or other disciplines in order to solve a particular problem or multiple of them. How prepared they are in terms of walking out from the academic institution and walking into the industry environment. Our experience has been that there's a wide gap, and not taking into account, I will leave aside the IITs, the RECs, and maybe 1 or 2 institutions. But majority of them, they have knowledge to the level that they are aware they can make statements of certain symbolic verbiage. But solving an actual problem is something that they find it very hard. Now, I don't blame that on them. The issue is more in terms of how the education was imparted, what sort of nature of problems they worked on. That's one aspect of the problem. So you don't have a ground mass in terms of having the right candidates. The second end of the spectrum is, when somebody wants to really contribute towards innovation that can drive India as a global R&D center or global IP creation, is the right amount of funding, the policies, and how much of integration happens between the academia, the industry, and the government put together. I know for certain that maybe in 2023, the ANRF has been started, which is the Anusandhan National Research Foundation. And then they are the ARG, which is the Advanced Research Grants. And both of these are very helpful, very much needed in time. But I think in terms of getting the traction of getting to where India can move to a global contribution to IP power, a lot of interaction between industry has to happen along with the academia. ISC does it in the deep tech labs. There's one good example that comes from IIT Mumbai, which is BTIC, which is a Biomedical Engineering Technology Innovation Center. And they have set an example in terms of how one can develop IP and provide value back to the society. So, and they did it very methodically. They first went about trying to understand what are the nature of problems. Met a lot of people in the hospital industry, doctors, people, nurses, and figured out that they got about 425 new things that they could work upon, distilled down to about 200 and odd. And the outcome of that, what was begun in 2016, which is close to about a decade now, they have got about 55 patents, 16 startups which have actually delivered, and they have products, about 25 products out into the market. And that's a very good example in terms of how there is talent in India. There are a lot of people who can contribute. Putting a method to the madness in terms of how it is handled is something that we need to have those systems and organizations in place. And that's my statement here.
Thank you very much. So this gives us an example that something worked, all right? But I still need to know, I'll come back to you to ask you how you're going to formalize that method and that process. But before that, I'm going to ask Professor Akshay Dwivedi, from your experience of being an academician, and I know you've been very successful at even the industry, the startups and the collaborations, I want you to tell me on how do you think from the other side, from the academia side, what should be the incentives, time allocation, the prioritizing? How do you want the faculty to do, and what should they have to enable research collaboration, industry collaboration?
Thank you, Professor Anuradha. It's an easy question. I was hoping
Really?
for a real difficult one.
Okay. I really wish it was easily implementable.
It is really
then.
easy. When I was a child, we came to know industry-academia interaction is very important. It is still important. I heard Dr. Mashelkar somewhere in an event. He also said it is very important. We should do something about it.
Can you have the thing closer? I have a feeling they can't hear it.
Am I audible? Oh, perfect. Industry-academia collaboration is very important, but the way how we have been doing it, it is slight tweaking, and that tweaking is possible. Let me give you some examples.
Can I please request all the murmurs to go out of the room and do it? Can I request those who are talking, please just step out. I'm not asking you to stop talking. It's a very earnest request. It's very disturbing and we can't hear what he's saying. Thank you.
Whenever certain research archaeology starts, it usually starts in a lab, usually from an idea. Usually that idea is about a certain query. Some researcher wants to identify a solution for that particular query, and it happens. It has been working in this particular way since ages. Very recently, patents have come up, and for a patent, you really need to have certain level of decent research. Then you file for a patent, and then the patent gets granted. Of course, it takes some amount of time. Fortunately, Indian patent system has been working in a very fine way. The time which is right now needed is lower down. When a patent gets filed, it gets granted, the technology transfer picture stage comes up, which is also not a very difficult one. If you can market your technology in a good way, some real good results can come up. I have seen some of my colleagues who have done some wonderful work, technology transfer to industry. But issue starts after that, and that is where some tweaking is needed. A tech which is transferred rarely comes to commercial space because tech transfer also requires certain level of development from technology readiness level to higher levels up to manufacturing readiness level. And in some cases, it is also market readiness level. Here, academicians really cannot do something for bringing in a bigger impact. What they need is they need some kind of help. There is a problem. You see, academicians do not see business. They really are not focused towards about earning money. Their focus is entirely different. Some of them try to work on very challenging problems. Some of them try to work on just answering certain queries. Industry works with a completely different mindset. Usually that particular mindset, at least in India for MSME kind of a scenario is, they go for a short-term to medium-term strategy. 6 months mein kya ho raha hai? In a year, what will be my profit? What is my ROI? I heard somebody who said that on R&D, ROI is very less. Sir, if you know what is going to be the outcome of R&D, it is not R&D. So if you are caring right now about ROI part, sorry, maybe that is not the right approach. What can be done? You see, from last few years, the number of startups which have come up in India has really increased. And this is something which is very good because the agility of startup is something which is extraordinary. So now if there is an industry which is, let's say, a large industry, they want to enter into a new business venture, please try to approach a faculty in any of the IITs, NITs, central universities, any university. Please try to sell, sir, startup khologe. But the thing is, you have to do some research in that particular direction, and that research is in your area, in your domain. If you open that particular thing, I will provide you that particular support. Somebody said tech transfer should be focused on royalty basis. I heard this particular statement in an interaction, that whenever tech transfer happens, it should not be at one go in terms of money. There should be some percentage royalty, and that percentage royalty should start when we start selling it. So that's not R&D is going to help. What is really needed is approach an academic university, approach a good institute, approach a faculty, tell him you are very creative, you are expert in this particular domain. Can you be my collaborator for a business? And let that academician write on his desk, is this action going to give me business? It's not about business in terms of money, it's business in terms of reputation, business in terms of having satisfaction of doing something good for your country. Sustainability has become a buzzword. Everybody is talking about it. There is no denial about it. But that sustainability, along with some business, is a need for the hour. So only request is academicians have to slightly move out, enter into that particular startup space. The industry has to go slightly in, and the things will really work. There are ample number of good cases. Bose is a wonderful company, started from an academician, did some wonderful results. We need to recreate that entire thing in India. That's all, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. So we heard two of them. One industry which said, I have a good example to give. One academia who also says, I have a very good example to give. So we start on a very, very positive note, but we know the reality, right? So we still have to identify some issues. So I'll quickly ask you one question again, okay, for which I want a very quick answer. So what's the structural shift you require, you feel should be made so that there are more examples to be given, which can be given?
One of the ways that I feel practically it can be handled is that one provides an actual problem not out of the blue, but something that is realistic and something that is seeking a solution. And we have had lots of interns within our own company who have actually sized up even to the fact that they were not from a very cream or premier institution, that they have been able to contribute not only to solving the problem, also getting an IP, and of course, there's always a very hard path in terms of from moving from prototype to an actual product. But that's where we expect that there's a lot more cooperation and coordination both from the government and the industry to happen. That's one of, and we have, so when I say that, it's not just about India. We have internships from people coming from Japan, a lot of students from the USA who are India-based. They do the internship with us. A lot of engineering institutions across India, the IITs, the BITS, and the local engineering colleges included. So there is a lot of talent available. It's a structured methodology that needs to be put in place, and one of the things that we have driven, as at least I'm aware of, is the TRL levels that comes from NASA, the technology readiness levels. So if you follow those methodically, and you keep in your mind always, what is the problem statement that I'm trying to solve? What is the value that it will bring about to my own customer base, okay? That is something that moves the needles, and therefore you might have moving from a prototype into an actual product.
That's an industry person talking. You will not hear this sentence from the academicians because they cannot say, okay, how am I going to move forward to ensure that it's commercially viable? Because he has to first publish his papers. That's very, very important. We can't forget that. Not that it's not necessary. What you are saying, TR level, we are forcing the academicians to look at TR levels now, no doubt about it, but that never is the first priority for us, right? So anyway, I understand. I'm just trying to, towards the end, maybe we will bring some consensus somewhere. So Mr. Tito, this question is for you. A critical gap in the journey from dependence to dominance, look at our dream, okay, is the capability of innovation and IP leaders in India. I know we had a lot of awards today, right? But I still feel that there is a huge gap. And I'll tell you, very recently I spoke to a Gen Z and I said, why are you always so restless? And their statement was, we don't have a role model. All right, they say we go to the academia, we don't find them really working towards research, or we don't see the role model there. You go to the industry, we don't see the role model there. So what happens is this white hair that each one of us have is of no use to them, right? So if we have to bring that, there has to be some IP leaders which have to be, I would say identified, maybe not generated or whatever, grow. So you answered this question on making innovation systematic rather than serendipitous. Your thoughts on it?
I mean, the critical element in the entire journey is the capability. If the capability is not there, no one will come to do a partnership. When partnerships happen, when they have capability to contribute. And that capability should be there in the institute itself. Now, many a time, leaders talk, but when you come to practical application, that's where the difference comes. To bring it to a context of thinking, there's again fundamentally what is the itcha of the institute. If the itcha of the institute is to make sure that we would have global companies coming to India and collaborate, that's different. All we are talking about within India, I'm talking about global companies. The next one is the knowledge part, which is very, very critical. See, traditionally, if I were to look at education institutions, the knowledge they have, they should file all the patents in the world because knowledge is initially started there. But there is little more beyond that basic knowledge where we need to get to that problem solving. So as we look at institutions, we need to build not just the basic knowledge, but also propel the students to solve problems. That's the second part. That's where the skills of problem solving comes very, very handy. What is very critical is Kriya, the action. Many a time, take an institute. Institute is a self-living organization. Now, if you find problems in your institute, and I'm sure every institute have thousands of those, if you can channelize that problems to your students and make them solve, that's where the Kriya comes. Then only you can tell to anyone the potential partnership that you want, that we have people in our college, students who actually solve problems. Then only you have a capability to demonstrate. But very critically, it is the Shakti.
Sorry?
Shakti.
Shakti.
Okay, Ichha Gnana Kriya Shakti. What is Shakti? Shakti is nothing but your emotional fitness. So people have, leaders say, we do big things. But again, they are all carried away by their own work. And that emotional fitness, we call it as resourcefulness. If you are resourceful, you can find resources. Resources are ample everywhere in the world. But the problem is people are not resourceful enough. So when you look at this entire context of thinking, can I know how many academicians are there in the room? Can I see their hands raised? We have few, not many. I thought we'll have many, but yeah. But again, it again gets to the same point that what is that your Ichha and what is that action of knowledge? And typically there are methods. We talk about problem solving methods. The methodology of TRIZ is something which is very well proven, where when we are talking about solving problems, it's all about understanding the functionality of the systems. Having said that, what is very important? I have a good number of people in the room know what I'm speaking about on methods of invention. But the question is, when we have titles as an innovation leader and an IP leader, what capability we need in them? Is that the title? Is that the skill? And I can tell you very clearly that there is a capability which I have developed where you can, anyone who wants to, I mean, if you were interested, you can find this outside at the registry part. There's a skill to it to learn, irrespective of problem solving at a product level, at a process level, or at a system level. So unless and until we don't build that capability within, it is very difficult to expect someone to come and collaborate with us. It's a wishful thinking.
Thank you. So I would say, if you're talking about first Ichha, and then Jnana, and then Kriya, Shakti. So if I want to convert, or if I want to measure, because I think it's important to measure there. So if I want to measure the progress or measure the performance, if I can say, of conversion of IPs, translation of IPs to a commercial product or a process, we need to find a ranking system or whatever, indexing based on these four, right?
Yeah.
We need to see how much of Ichha is there. We need to see how much of work has been done. Kriya is,
Jnana is important.
Jnana is there, and then Kriya, and then, so that I think that's a very interesting. We should give it a try sometime.
Yeah.
On finding
Because what
out,
gets measured gets done.
Yeah.
But as long
Yeah,
as if
yeah.
you look at NERF ranking, patents are there. So I went to a couple of institutes which are private universities, and they have 1,000+ patents. I asked them, how much did you monetize? They said there's only one patent, they get some thousands. But if you measure people on the amount of monetization that they do, I think then we are actually raising the bar much higher.
Agreed, but let me speak from the other side, because I'm going to be a part of Akshay here. It's not easy to monetize IP. You don't know whom to go to. Let's be very clear about it. We don't know whom to go to. Okay, if we do on, in fact, I was talking to Dr. Shankar also. If I say I have a very good material being developed, who's going to use the material? Okay, ultimately, OEM is going to use. But how will that OEM use? I have to go through intermediates for someone who will buy the material, someone who will try, make a product, and who's that? That is the MSME. MSME does not have time for it. You would rather buy it. That's what is happening. So anyway, it's a chicken and egg situation. But all I'm saying is I think this is a forum where we'll at least bring out the point so that we can work out the solutions. And I have now Faisal, who's in Tata Motors, who will agree to what I said. And if not, I want you to say it out here. How can because I'm now talking about the funding, coming to the funding here. So how can collaborations be designed to be financially and strategically sustainable beyond the initial funding cycles, which many industries do for the academia? there is first funding, either a sponsored project or even consortium funding, as they call it. What does it take to move from the transactional projects to long-term strategic alliances?
First of all, I would agree what you just said about, that whatever academia produce cannot be directly consumed by the organization. And that's where there's a bit of gap in between. And what Professor Akshay already talked about, that there's a requirement that the professors should move a little forward. And the organization should also change a bit in terms of a strategy. Let me give you an example from the industry. See, if I'm in an organization, I'm going to invest money in doing a sponsored research or something. My end objective is to do business. I would like to see the gain or return out of it in one way or the other. Now, that gain could be short-term or long-term, but if there's a long-term collaboration has to go on, then essentially it is required that the end of that collaboration should not be from the academia side. It should not be that, here's your result and that's it. You close that and, you close the deal there, then there itself. So you have to give the second thought. No, this is it. Now you can take it to the next level. That is one thing required. Second thing is that you put a very relevant point that, the research which academia does cannot be consumed by the industry right away. I will give you an example here. Like, for example, somebody come back with a patent which they got granted for electric vehicle. They come to me and then they had given a 2-page brochure talking about these are the advantages of EV. I am the industry leader in EV. You are going to tell me, these are the advantages of EV. Not going to work for me. You have to tell me what your patent is going to, do for me. Right? You have to talk about how it is going to improve the performance of my vehicle in the market, how it is going to be beneficial to me, at least a bit of it. First thing. Second thing is that you have to talk about what is more required from my side to enable it into my product, which is most of the time is vacant. So a lot of academia comes and then they say, we have a portfolio of granted patents. Here it is. Now you take it and take it forward from you. Now, but that, unfortunately, the patent grant is not a certification that this technology is going to work or not. That is somewhere absence in the whole of the process. So if you have a granted patent, that is not the certification that this technology is going to work or not. For that, you need at least one step ahead, at least talking about how it is going to help the academia. I think if that thing is there, then that will help us in building a continuous relationship with the academia, and the collaboration can go on.
Very well said. So it gives me just some time back I had written an article, and I very strongly believe so that the PhD students are the main people who are going to bridge the gap between the academia and the industry. It is they who are on both the sides. They finish their PhD and they are ready to be recruited. And if we can consider them as equivalent to MBAs, don't get upset with me for saying that. But why I say that is everything that they do, ambiguity, knowledge, 0 to 100%, a situation where there are hardly any resources and they manage to do so well, they know how to keep confidentiality. Maybe if we can train them a little more on the finance and project management, and maybe that's why internships, not just BTechs, but PhDs internships would be really very helpful for them to understand the language on both the side. With that, before I come to you, I have to close the loop, and I have one question for Akshay. Industry often says graduates lack practical skills, while academia argues industry doesn't invest in fundamental research. Okay, how do we bridge the gap, this perception, and create talent pipelines that serve both needs? I just started something on that. I want you to continue.
Professor Anuradha, all of us has talked about finding solutions to problems. What is really needed is finding areas of improvements. That's a positive mindset. When Faisalji mentioned about that, okay, if somebody approaches us with some particular mindset, some particular document, there is a apprehension whether it is going to work or not. That somebody has also put many years in that particular work, and it is possible that maybe he or she or the group has done a wrong work, or maybe slightly which is not up to the mark. Was it possible that 3 years back, Tata Motors could have supported that particular group? Okay, this is the requirement that we have. Maybe we are also working with many other groups. Let's move along. So that hand holding, that is a positive way of working.
Hand-holding.
So what is needed is areas of improvement. That will really build the confidence, and things will really move up.
Thank you, very well said, hand-holding. And I think that's where the interns come into picture. I have now a very important question. You talk about, you are, the founder of a design institution, right? Traditionally, these design institutions, and I've seen it here also, operate separately from the engineering schools. And yet, today, design thinking is very, very important. It's essential for innovation. Design for repair, design for circularity, design for improved manufacturing, for sustainability, all of it is there. So how can design colleges create meaningful industry partnerships that go beyond internships to genuine cooperation?
Design is the most holistic education that I've known. It thrives on collaboration. Without industry partnership, design has no meaning. So I think there's somewhere a very flawed understanding around design, that design is working in silos. No. Rather, I'd say other streams of knowledge have been working in silos. And if I had to say an engineering school to come and work with me, they have a very myopic view about understanding, is it clothes? Is it jewelry? Is it make furniture? This is how they see design as. Whereas design is in a much larger context today. It is about social design. It's about looking at system design, service design. When you're talking about fashion, you're looking at responsible design. You look at jewelry, you look at emotional design, spatial design, experience design. Now, these are the kind of spaces we are into. So design, I've seen, has really, while it feels that we work in silos, no, not at all. We have industry projects right at the undergraduate level. And I have seen that most of the researchers who come with research PhD degrees, I find them not competent to even take on academics. I mean, being a founder, that's the way I have learned and built the programs. So I realized the academia-industry partnership and that collaborative mindset and interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary understanding is very, very key in design. Otherwise, you cannot be a designer. And that's key to design. And I would say, when you look at a class of a batch of 60 in an engineering school, how do you bring industry into the program? Whereas our batch cohort sizes are 15 is a maximum number we would take on a program to ensure that the kind of quality we want to give to our students, the kind of exposure we want to give them. And that's why I feel that, today design thinking and design has become such a popular word. It's become a key word today. Everybody wants, the management schools want to talk about design thinking. It starts with the ADIPT process, empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test. I think all of us do that in our realm, right? But when we look at design, I think there's a very, India still needs to evolve with what design is. For them, it is more about lifestyle products. And the lifestyle products, definitely, it's all about shaping our lives better. So all the products, whether it's automobile or a phone sets or a handset, everything is for lifestyle. Everything is moving around the lifestyle industry. So that's how, even if you say fashion has their own realm, right? The whole world is governed by fashion. All ideas come from the fashion industry, When you talk about automobile, ideation comes from, because they are much ahead of the times. And design is always thinking of a future. We never look at the present. We always create either an opportunity or look at a problem that could be in a possible future and create solutions around that.
I think inclusivity seems to be a very important word here.
Yeah.
Can engineering include design?
Yep.
Can we all include the gender diversity? it almost seems to me like that.
Yes.
And you having worked so much on, for the women, can you also just throw some light upon how do you see design as for engineering products and processes and women's role in that?
Okay, so when we look at, you've heard textile engineering, I mean, jewelry needs a lot of engineering around metallurgy and this. So all programs, look at the new material sciences that we have today. So the kind of products, the materials that are used in interior spaces today. So engineering goes and science goes hand in hand with design. So it's very important that kind of collaborative work will bring out more innovation. And when you look at women, I strongly feel that we've talked a lot about women, and women have found their voice. I think men need to be given their voice now. And yeah. So I strongly feel that women, men need to be changing and shifting in their mindset, as women have evolved very fast, but men need to alongside evolve, the women force. And that's how we can have a society which is much...
I fully agree with you. I'm fully with you on that amazing statement you made. Having said that, since we are short of time, we sort of touched upon, we didn't have time to discuss in detail, but we touched upon some very important things. But the most important thing is there's a lot of positivity, there is a lot of hope. We have very good examples from the industry side who are happy with the translations. We have very good examples in the academia side which have translations. As I think you said, 2 steps forward, both the sides have to put in. There are interns, there are PhD students who are who are the bridgers, who can actually really work for us. We have very good parameters to measure. Okay, we should maybe work on that. And at the same time, I think we have to be much ahead of time in our thought process and inclusivity. That's very important. I'm going to give exactly 15 seconds for each one of you to do the concluding round.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So just I'll talk about the capability part. So we are running a new program called Graduate as an Inventor. This is exclusively for the college students who are there from the 3rd year. Because 1st year, 2nd year, they get to know the basics of it. So at this time, you can able to get into developing solutions.
Academia is open for all kind of partnerships. Only thing is, sometimes we do not understand the language which industry speaks, and it is vice versa case. Let us have more interactions, and with some positivity, things will definitely move ahead.
Yeah, the one statement I would make is that never forget sight of what the problem is and whom are you solving it for. Look at the value that you would get once you have the outcome of the solution. Rest will take care of it.
Great. I'll give my statement in the end yourself.
So I think it's high time that the college students that get involved into or start peeking into what is happening in the industry, so that they are better equipped when they join the industry. And I think that is already started. A lot of things is already going on, and as we go forward, I would like to see more of that.
I feel knowledge creation is very important, and that's what I started out with. And again, says that what George, Orwell said, that, double think, what we're doing right now, is it towards nation building, or are we just about, aping again what's going in all around us? So I think it's a point of time where we need to introspect all the time of what and how our nation needs to build in the direction of our values and our ethics and our systems. And yes, the Cumulus Design Declaration is something that you should have a look at, because that will give you a holistic view about what design is and what design offers to the world and what we are meant to do. So I think it's a very good guiding light for all engineering or medical or whatever. Yeah, it works in all directions. Thank you.
Perfect. I think we've really had the entire spectra from my side. I would conclude by saying we have hope. I would conclude by saying I think the PhD students have to be taken very seriously. They have to be trained both from the academia side and from the industry side. They are the future, because they are the bridging gaps. And they actually not only are experts only in their subject, I very strongly believe, and it's more convincing now, that they are the ones who can actually direct and be there as research managers, which is very, very important, both in the industry and here, because they know both the side of it. And above all, let's move with mutual trust. I think that will really go a very, very long way. We also, academicians also want to do something, industries want something, you just trust that we are trying. If you believe that we are trying and not just letting go each other, I think that will go a long way. Thank you so much for a very patient hearing, and thank you. I hope it was interesting, and if there are points, please do let us know later.
Thank you so much, jury members, for giving the session and insights on that. Thank you so much, dignitaries. I would now request to please step forward for a group photograph, please. Thank you so much.